This video is sponsored by War Thunder. Paddleboarding offers a serene escape from the chaos of modern life. As you slowly glide on the calm waters, peace and serenity prevail.
And that's why I hate it. Paddleboards are slow, and I just want to go fast. Speedboats are fast, and that's because they have V8 engines. So if I want to make my paddleboard go fast, I need a V8 engine too. So my plan is to take a V8 engine and put it on my paddleboard. Boom, there we go. See, science is fun. Stay in school, kids.
So here's the V8 engine. We put it on there and took it to the lake for a test run. It actually worked okay, but it was a bit too heavy and the board ended up taking waves over the bow. So I needed a lighter V8. I searched far and wide, and this is what I found. It weighs only 10 pounds. That's 97% lighter than the other V8, so it should work great. But does it have enough power to make my paddleboard go fast? In this video, we're gonna find out. For some reason, us humans are drawn to things that are impractical because they're cute. Like pugs, for example. They're more closely related to a football than a wolf, and yet we just can't get enough of their wrinkly little faces. Same concept applies with miniature engines. They're just so cute.
Oh, this thing is adorable.
It has the little belts and the little spark plugs and the little exhaust. It's a real working V8, just miniaturized. A cheap weed whacker engine would probably outperform this thing in every way, but that doesn't matter because it's a V8 and it's tiny. It's tiny, but it's actually not that tiny. It has 78 cc's of displacement, which is bigger than a lot of moped engines. This V8 isn't exactly ready to run out of the box. You have to wire up the ignition, give it an oil change, and get gas and coolant lines all set up. But before long, I was ready to start it up for the first time. But then this happened. Oh God, why? I wasn't about to let some poorly designed starter system stop me, so I 3D printed an attachment for my power drill that would interface with the flywheel so I could start it that way. Now for a word about the sponsor of this video, War Thunder. If you like my videos, then you must be a fan of planes, tanks, drones, boats, and all sorts of other cool stuff. In that case, you're gonna love War Thunder. It's a free-to-play military action game with land, sea, and air vehicles from the World War II era all the way up to present. The game is available on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Mac. Each battle in War Thunder involves dozens of epic vehicles of all types. The latest update, called Sons of Attila, added an entire family of unique Hungarian ground vehicles and aerial battles that have become even more realistic due to the new voice warning systems like those in modern fighters. Their new graphic engine brings improved visual effects that adapts to different lighting conditions. This helps capture the scale and intensity of battles with stunning detail in the landscapes and vehicles. War Thunder lets you level up your game with upgradable vehicle modules. These include smoke grenades, active protection systems, dynamic armor, and many others. They integrate technologies used in the 21st century, including recon and strike drones, as well as nuclear strikes that completely destroy the map. Download War Thunder for free by using the link in the description. All new players and returning players who haven't played War Thunder for a half a year or more will receive special bonuses like the P-40 aircraft and M4 tank for a week, along with free unique skins for them. They'll also get a special decorator called Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, 3 premium vehicles for free, a week of premium account, and even more gifts. Act now, because the American Vehicle bonus season will end soon. Now back to the video.
That worked! Holy shit. Oh, it's so good.
After the first run, I gave it another oil change.
There's definitely some metal bits in there.
And then built a super robust stand for it to make future oil changes easier.
This thing is like...
One of the cool things about these engines is that they can run on normal gasoline, so you don't have to try and find nitro fuel or methanol from somewhere. And it's a 4-stroke, so you don't need to mix oil in the fuel. The coolant pump doesn't always prime itself, so sometimes it needs a little help.
Wow. That's how you choke it. You just shove your fingers in the intake. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
This engine could be pretty finicky. It would only really ever start on the first try if it was already warmed up.
That's how you kill it. You just pinch the fuel in.
Wow.
How neat is that?
Wow, it gets hot quick.
Yeah, dude, and the coolant's warm already.
Wow.
This thing is the real deal, man.
That's sick.
There must have been some shit in the engine because there's some little chunks floating in the antifreeze. Another day, another oil change. Huh, looks a little cleaner this time. This thing also has a little tiny oil filter that you have to clean out every now and then. They sent me a new starter motor, so I got that installed, and they also sent me this little tiny 4mm output shaft, which seems humorously small for a 78cc engine, but whatever, I'll try it out. Shoving your fingers into the carburetors to choke the engine worked great, but it doesn't seem like the most elegant solution, so I wanted to design something better. I drew up some little flaps that would cover up the intake holes and 3D printed them on my Form 3 Plus. You can see how they work here. I cut some foam to filter the air before it goes into the engine, and then put the intake box back together with some little levers on the top of the choke flaps to actuate them. I was unable to get the engine to start with this choke system because the flaps were not blocking enough airflow from the intake. My next idea was to use the rubber plungers from syringes to cover the holes, since the rubber would form a better seal. Once again, I resin printed some parts and assembled these little plunger mechanisms. Those got bolted onto the top of the airbox, and they seemed to work really well. After another oil change, it was time to start on the fun part, which is the drivetrain. A while back, I designed a 3D printable outboard for my Boston Whaler, which had bevel gears inside the lower unit and a shaft running up through the mast section. This way, the electric motor could be mounted above water. My plan was to use it for salt water, and that would allow me to save my submerged e-foil motors for freshwater. I never ended up doing that, but the design is perfect to repurpose for this project, so that's what I did. As usual, I used Onshape for all the CAD design, which is free for hobbyists and cloud-based, so all you have to do to access the models is click on the link in the description and create a free account. The mast is just FDM printed out of PLA, and the lower unit is SLA printed out of Gray Pro resin on the Form 3 Plus. It just barely fits in the build volume. I got lucky. The Gray Pro resin is really interesting stuff. It's flexible enough to be super durable, but not flexible enough for the thicker parts to really be flexible at all. So after cleaning up the printed parts, I ground some flats in the shafts. This was so that the set screws would have a stronger grip on the shaft, while securing the steel bevel gears. I'm using a thrust bearing to support the thrust that the propeller makes. Probably way overkill, but whatever. Here's what it looks like all put together. Before putting all the parts together for good, I squirt marine grease everywhere. And then after that, used marine sealant to glue the two halves together. Those got clamped together while the sealant cured. To cover up the gears, I cut some acrylic windows on the CNC router, and both glued and screwed those into the lower unit. Before putting in the window on the opposite side, I packed the cavity with as much grease as possible. And then that side got closed up as well. Next, I used Gorilla Glue to attach the mast to the lower unit. This yellow part here is the other side of the hinge that will allow this whole stern drive unit to pivot on the back of the paddleboard for steering. So the bevel gears in the lower unit are steel, but we also need some bevel gears on top since the engine's output shaft doesn't come out of the bottom of it. For this, I'm going to use 3D printed gears, just to see if they can handle the power. I found a few spiral bevel gear designs online, but most of them didn't really seem to properly mesh together. Finally, I found this design that seemed legit, so it's what I'll be using. They have a 3:1 reduction ratio. I'm going to be printing the final version out of this Formlabs durable resin, which they say is ideal for gears. To attach the larger gear to the shaft, I'm using this clamp-on hub with 4 threaded holes in it, and that goes on the top of the outboard mast. For the smaller gear, I used the same hub but with some pins that stick out into the back of the gear. I needed a platform to mount all this stuff on that would sit on top of the paddleboard, and I found this old trashy plank laying out in the yard. The only issue was, it was a bit too heavy for my liking, so then I used my CNC router to make it an aerospace grade trashy plank. That reduced the weight by 55%. Oh, it's so light.
Then I drilled some holes for mounting screws and sealed the wood to prevent it from soaking up water. What a beautiful aerospace grade waste of time. If we're going to connect this motor to a propeller, we need to find a way to disconnect it from the propeller when we're starting the motor. So for that reason, we need a clutch. And I'm going to try and make one from scratch, because, well, it'll be fun. Here's what I came up with. It's just 2 plates that get pushed together by a spring, and then the blue lever pulls them apart. Pretty simple. I cut the plates out of carbon fiber and wood on my CNC router. The carbon fiber plate is actually just a backer. The wood plates are what handle the friction. The whole thing will fit inside this red yoke. So how it works is, there's a thrust bearing behind this collar, and that thrust bearing will basically get pulled into the input clutch plate by a compression spring. This is all super hard to wrap your head around unless you can just see it working, so let's skip most of the build. But I ended up putting solder flux on the wood clutch plates to make them more sticky. That actually worked pretty well. Here you can get a better idea of how the clutch operates. Back to the rear section. I'm using a little U-joint to transfer power through the shaft when the whole thing turns, so that has to be perfectly aligned with the pivot axis. For the first test, I'm going to use one of these big resin-printed B-series propellers that you may remember from my previous video. This same exact prop pushed me 130 miles in my solar-powered Boston Whaler. Then I attached the engine and clutch to the board and took it outside for the first test.
Upon letting out the clutch, the output started spinning, so it worked. But the propeller is just in air, so there's hardly any resistance. It'll be a whole nother story once it's in water. The clutch plates got up to 65 degrees Celsius, so they were probably slipping quite a bit. Because of that, I decided to get some real fibrous clutch material. Surprisingly, I was able to cut it on my CNC machine fairly easily. So I installed the 2 new clutch plates, still using one of the wood discs as a backing, and set it up for another test. Upon releasing the clutch, the propeller actually started spinning underwater. I was amazed. But when I would rev the engine, the prop didn't really spin any faster, so the clutch was likely still slipping.
Yeah, let's go.
Even just idling, the clutch plates got up to 100 C. Ansel was filming on the FreeFly Ember to get these sweet slow-mo shots. Here you can see a clutch drop. It starts open, and then as I let it out, the lever and the gear plates engage. Although, even when the lever is fully engaged, you can still tell that the input is spinning faster than the output, so there's still some slipping going on. As for the engine itself, it sure was jiggling. Almost looks like it's mounted on rubber, but it's not. What do you think?
It's terrible.
Next up, I added a little steering wheel that pulled on some cord to pivot the whole stern drive unit, and I also added some suction cups to attach the whole thing to the paddleboard. I had previously been having to prime the coolant pump with my mouth, so I added 2 little 12-volt water pumps here. And with that, we were ready to head to the lake and test it out with the boys. Out she comes!
What in tarnation?
Oh, yeah. Okay, Sebastian, what do you think of my motor?
Is this gasoline? Like from the gas station?
Try to turn the steering wheel, see what happens.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Man, how fast does it go?
I don't know, we're gonna find out. What's up?
Hey.
We got a V8.
Put it on here or what?
Put it on a paddleboard.
Oh, the paddleboard?
Just,
You guys built this shit?
Yeah.
What? So you're gonna stand on it, right?
I'm here. Yeah.
It's tight.
Yeah, you guys built it, man.
All custom. Yeah. You got the steering wheel right here. Turns it like that. You got your clutch over here. Pull on that.
Hey, man, you must be an engineer or something, huh?
Yeah. You guys cool with being on YouTube?
I ain't tripping, bro. I'm just, you
Do this. Shut up, brother.
You got your Allen wrench holders too,
Yep.
in case you need it out there.
What kind of fuel you got in there?
Gasoline, 95.
Oh, really?
So I'm just gonna be right here. Golden. Perfect.
Sebastian also brought his powered paddleboard so that we could race.
We've got a solar panel. I get 80 watts at noon. Okay, under here, pretty simple. We've got an MPPT controller. We got a battery, Hobby King ESC from 10 years ago, and a servo controller.
Go, 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 go. There we go. There we go. There we go. This is so excellent. What do you think?
Amazingly, this little clutch did transfer enough power to propel the paddleboard at a decent pace, but when I would rev the engine, you could sometimes see the clutch smoking a bit, so it was clearly the limiting factor that was preventing me from going any faster.
Oh, gotta do an emergency turn. Oh. Damn, you're hauling.
When Sebastian and I lined up to race, I slowly pulled ahead, but he did win the practicality award.
So swaggy, so casual.
No maintenance, powered by the sun.
You like the quiet better?
Yeah, a little more practical too.
Well, maybe. But this gets the ladies. Sebastian's doesn't get the ladies. This gets the ladies.
I have not seen a single lady. There's just 5 dudes. You guys ever seen anything like this?
Even after tightening up the clutch spring as much as possible, my speed at idle didn't really seem any faster than my speed while revving the engine, so the paddleboard was unable to reach its potential maximum speed.
V8 power! Or we would have V8 power if the clutch wasn't slipping so much.
So after the maiden voyage, it was back to the drawing board to design a new clutch. The old one might have worked with an even stiffer spring or larger diameter plates, but then I would have had to redesign most of the parts anyways, so I decided to take a different approach. Instead of having clutch plates that can slip, I'm just going to do dog gears that get shoved together. I 3D printed the parts for my new design out of the Formlabs durable resin. Typically, dog gears in a manual transmission are shaped like little triangles, so that they will more easily align themselves as they slide together. But these are only designed to mesh when the clutch disengages the engine from the output, And they have a synchronizer ring to help. I wanted to jam my dog ears together while the power is being transferred, so I made the teeth this weird lobe shape instead of triangles. My thinking here is that at first the lobes will skip off each other and just vibrate a bunch, but the friction will at least get a little bit of power transfer started. Then as they're pushed together even harder, the output will accelerate until the speed is matched, and then they will fully lock together. I assembled the whole thing together and mounted it on the plank. Then it was time for another test on the porch.
That's not gonna work at all.
On that first try, I think the engine just wasn't warmed up.
Oh yeah, there we go.
On the second try, it worked great, apart from being horrendously noisy and violent. I was pleasantly surprised at how it actually kinda gradually applied power over the course of 2 seconds or so. I'm calling it the bumpity-bump clutch. Obviously, a real clutch with a stack of multiple plates would be much smoother, but the bumpity-bump clutch is super simple and easy to make, so that's what I'm going with.
It's gonna go fast now. It doesn't look like it's wearing down at all.
Yeah.
Looks fine. Yeah, it works. It's not gonna wear out. This is really cool plastic. It's like Delrin. It's kind of like self-lubricating.
After that, I gave it yet another oil change, and then tried to do some tuning. With the clutch disengaged, it would rev really high without a problem. But when the clutch was engaged, even with the prop out of water, it would bog down at higher throttle levels. So I thought tuning the carbs or spark timing might help with that, but I couldn't really seem to get any improvement. Now it's back to the lake for a speed run.
I love that. Let's see how fast we can go.
With too much throttle, you can hear it bog down. But at mid-throttle levels, it worked great. The bumpity-bump clutch worked great out on the water too. Another reason why I think this bumpity-bump clutch ended up working is because the drive shafts are so long and thin that they probably act a bit like torsion springs and give it some give, if you know what I mean. So this test went really well. Its top speed exceeded my expectations, but that's probably because my expectations were set pretty low. This was my first time ever using one of these toy scale model engines, and before this I had never really seen them used for anything practical. A couple of people out there have put them in 1/5 scale RC cars, but it seems like most of them just get fiddled around with on the bench.
It's too good. It's too good. Look at the steam. Oh, it's so hot. Wow, that's like actually burning.
How is it running now?
It's running better.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I put a new clutch on it.
That looks nice. It sounded nice though.
Since the engine was bogging down at higher throttle levels, I thought it would be interesting to print some smaller props to test out. Maybe they would allow me to rev higher and get more power out of the engine. This time, the prop was small enough to print all in one piece on the Form 3 Plus, whereas the larger props had to be printed in 3 pieces. Both of these blade designs came from the online B-Series prop generator. I also thought it would be fun to try out a toroidal design. This is the same design that I tested out on Lake Roosevelt, but much smaller and with less of a positive pitch angle in the middle of the loop. This one has around 3 degrees, and it's roughly the same diameter as the small B-Series prop I'm testing. Back to the lake. To measure my speed, I was using the GPSs in my phone and the GoPro, so this data probably isn't very accurate. Anyhow, with the big B-Series prop, I got up to 5 miles per hour. Although I don't really think I was revving quite as high as I could have. Probably could have gone a bit faster. Next, I switched over to the small B-Series prop and it was clearly much slower. I only got up to 4 miles an hour. After that, I switched over to the toroidal prop and was super surprised that I got right back up to 5 miles an hour. The reason this was so surprising is because this is the first time I've ever had a toroidal propeller outperform a normal propeller. But then again, I was just revving the engine by hand, so it's entirely possible that each prop was getting different amounts of throttle command. We can get much better consistency if we measure the speed during idle, and here's the results. The big B-Series prop was the fastest, but the toroidal prop still outperformed the small B-Series prop. I couldn't believe it. I'll do more testing with this toroidal propeller in a future video, since testing it on this super inconsistent V8 is highly unscientific.
Today, Sebastian and I are going to attempt to circumnavigate Lake Union with our powered paddle boards. Mine being petrochemical powered and Sebastian's being solar powered. Last time when we raced, I had the bigger propeller on here and I was faster than Sebastian, so I went down to this toroidal propeller, so hopefully we'll be the same speed now. Lock goes off. You ready?
Yeah, wait, let me get it.
Here we go, putting it in gear.
engaged. Are you at full throttle?
I'm on full throttle, yeah.
Hopefully Sebastian can keep up with me. Come on, let's go. I might be slightly faster. I'll have to put on my brakes. I'm trying to slow down.
What's your throttle at right now? What's the throttle at? You can't hear anything. Throttle, what's your throttle at? Oh, Jesus.
What?
What's your throttle at?
It's at idle.
That's
Maybe I should just tow you.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do to slow it down.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll push. I'll boost
Watch
it.
out for the little boat here.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh, we got an inbound collision. We gotta try and turn. I don't know about this. Wow. Yeah, this kind of works, right? We got a long ways to go.
Yeah, we do. That battery you gave me, is that a 12 volt or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have brought you a 4-cell.
I was gonna say, if you gave me more, maybe I could go faster.
Yeah, that would have probably done the trick. How hard do you have to paddle to keep up?
Not that hard, I can do it.
That might be the best option, I don't know. It's a miniature V8. My idea was that I was gonna film a bunch of people's reactions to this thing, but the problem is when they try and talk to me, I can't hear them over the sound of the engine. Oh my God, there's so many people up ahead. Sebastian's falling behind. Come on!
All right.
It's a V8. This thing is just obnoxious. Oh, Sebastian's catching up. Nice. Whoa, these guys have a floating lemonade stand.
I don't have any cash though.
I couldn't stop to get lemonade because I'm afraid my engine won't start again if I stop it. Very crowded day on the water. We need headsets.
You need a quieter engine.
We need radios. Man, it's a good thing I'm using the little propeller, otherwise I'd be a lot faster. Whoa, that's a fluffy dog. Holy cow.
Whoa, I'm in the shade. I can't stay in the shade. Okay, let me pedal it.
That's
There
fun.
it goes. Okay.
Once this yacht passes us, we'll turn to
Yeah, when are we
gas.
turning?
Oh, that's a big boy. Okay, well, I'm gonna start turning a little bit. Man, it would be nice to be able to hear. Wow, there's so many boats out here. Uh-oh, we got a collision inbound. I'm gonna run into this party boat. Taking waves over the bow. Oh no, my pliers! Oh! My pliers almost fell off. Come on, Sebastian, you can do it! We've gone from one side of the lake to the other, so we're making good progress. Hello. Hello. Well, the engine's holding up pretty well. I thought it would have melted by now, honestly, but it's still going. The coolant is very hot. How's it going?
It's going great.
How much longer do you think your battery is gonna last?
How long has it been?
It seems like it's been more than 2 kilometers.
Yeah, well, with the solar working, I get more than that, but...
Oh, that's right, the solar's going.
Yeah, I mean, I think I get 30 minutes without solar. So with solar, maybe an hour.
I added this extra little auxiliary tank here, and they're in series. So the little one should go empty first, I think. Rogue wave! Oh, look at how wide that pontoon boat is. Holy shit, that thing is huge. Wowee, that thing's a ship. Damn. Oh, it's a V8. I would say we're probably about 2/3 done with the circumference of the lake, and the little gas tank is only like 2/3 empty, so it could go a lot further. There's so much electromagnetic noise from the spark plug wires that my cell checker is just going nuts. Yeah, that one's going crazy too. Or maybe it just got wet, I'm not sure. Whoa. Oh,
Is it breaking?
no! Something just broke.
Can I still win this?
Uh-oh. This coupler here just came out. What the heck? Gotta line that sucker back up, push that back in. Oh.
So it just slipped out, but it's okay.
I think. Starting the engine. Oh. Whoa, something's whack. What's whack? Start, damn it. Oh, that doesn't sound... Whoa, something just smoked. Oh no, smoke just came out of something. Oh yeah, it's fried. Well, that's a wrap on that. Now I can't start the engine. Guess what?
It's broken.
My starter motor burnt out for the 3rd time.
What do you mean that's the 3rd motor?
Yeah.
You didn't bring a spare?
I mean, it wasn't supposed to burn out now. It burned out the previous times because the instructions said a 12S LiPo, but it's actually only rated for 4S.
What?
Yeah, the instructions are whack.
Oh, they meant 12 volts.
They might have meant 12 volts instead of 52. Well, what can you do? Fun while it lasted. At least now I'll be able to hear. Guess we could go jump off the bridge. That looks fun.
Is that a little gas engine?
Yeah, it's a V8.
Pretty cool.
It was while it lasted. The starter motor burnt out.
Yeah, no, I got a motor down there. Mine works. I can turn it on.
You guys run a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
What's it called?
RC test flight.
I fucking knew it!
Yeah.
Okay, I watched a lot of your videos, man.
Sweet. All right, Sebastian, you won this time. Sebastian's gonna tow me home. It's a 78cc V8.
Huh, pretty cool.
Yeah, it used to be cool. Okay, Sebastian, you ready for our final stats?
What do we got?
We went 3.2 miles, and it took us 2 hours. So now let's have a look at how some of the questionable parts held up. The U-joint looked like it got a little worn down, but still has plenty of life left in it. The bumpity bump clutches look great. There's some little tiny spots of wear on there, but otherwise there's really no wear on the entire thing. You can still see the print lines from each layer. These gears look completely fine. No problems with them. Somehow this little tiny 4mm shaft adapter didn't slip. I couldn't believe it. I was afraid that the starter motor had burnt out because the engine seized up, so I ran it one more time to check if it was ruined or not. And it worked. Yay! In the next video, I'm going to convert this stern drive unit to electric with Fock drive so we can better test the toroidal propeller. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.